Hey neighbor, welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John, and I know that we're living in unprecedented times right now. It's something that feels scary to talk about, and it also feels like there's a lot of situations and angles that I can't even cover because they don't necessarily relate to music. And I know that some would use the shut up and dribble analogy to me, like shut up and talk about music, but music has always been political. I did an entire video about that, so if you're curious, then check that out. There's a link in the description. So what we're going to be talking about today involves a couple of musicians in bands that I think of as very progressive thinking bands, ones that were forward thinking for their times even. We're going to talk about Krist Novoselic, the former bassist of Nirvana. Of course, Kurt Cobain was a devout feminist, someone who really spoke out about racial and inequality-based issues. And then on the other side of the fence, we have John Dolmayan, the drummer for System of a Down. They have not made an album since 2005, but they've been active and touring again since the early 2010s. They both made statements that are going to need some peeling through here. I kind of blasted them on Twitter about it, but I want to talk more about it because this is just, it's very disappointing, but it's also not one of those things where I'm like, oh, we need to cancel, rather we should probably try and educate. So if you're one of those people who have intentionally been trying to avoid the news and you're tired of seeing all of these posts on social media about Black Lives Matter and everything, I feel that number one, you're tired of that? How do you think that minorities, black people included, of course, have felt their entire lives? Black lives have never really mattered to that many people, so to actually see a movement taking off and gaining momentum, things are happening, change is just around the corner. In fact, we've already seen some good signs for police reform and people actually being held accountable. I'm just saying, it's not one of those things that we can just breeze over. And here, we've seen two musicians, Krist Novoselic and of course John Dolmayan, basically not posting anything in support of that, instead giving out views that support the president, Donald Trump. If you've ever watched this channel, or at least any of my videos where I have mentioned anything remotely political in the past 4 or so years, you know that I fucking loathe Donald Trump. I do not think that he is fit for office. I do think that he has racist tendencies, and I think that there's a whole mess of other problems that are just continuing to get worse and worse. And is now the time to really bring up praise and support for maybe something minor that you think he has done that's not even backed up with evidence? Absolutely not. So to these two people, I have to say, shut the fuck up. I'm just going to refer to the musicians by their last names from this point forward. So Novoselic is Nirvana and Dolmayan is System of a Down. To quote some parts of Novoselic's Facebook post, he says, "Wow, I know many of you can't stand him. However, Trump knocked it out of the park with this speech. I did not see any violence, but a Tesla supercharging station at an Auburn mall was closed off by police. Driving, I passed by regular folks who were already stressed by this COVID situation. Now social media and television are looping images of societal breakdown." Already in this post, I feel that Novoselic is trying to use this idea and give examples or reasons as to why the protesters shouldn't be there, or that they were starting it, or that one person undermines an entire movement, but let's keep reading. I agree, the president should not be sending troops into states, and he legally might not be able to anyway. Nevertheless, his tone in this speech is strong and direct. By strong and direct, do you mean something that just panders straight to the MAGA country, the people that will support literally any word out of his mouth, will not see reality for what it is, will not acknowledge that there are rightful reasons for these protests, and the fact that even when they do turn violent, it's not something that undermines an entire movement and they're just trying to make their voices heard? Well, I would call this propaganda. We've seen the images circulating and even the video of Trump holding up the Bible at his little photo shoot, so first of all, get the fuck out of there with that argument. The violence and not the protests appear as a leftist insurrection. Imagine if so-called patriot militias were raising this kind of hell. If this were the case, left-wing people would welcome federal intervention. This feels like such hearsay, such a reach, saying like, oh, well, if this were the case, then what if? These what ifs are not what we need right now. We need somebody to actually either speak up in support of a movement and encourage something like a peaceful protest, and not somebody to come in and say, well, you know what, Trump, this person who has done nothing but sow division for the past 3.5 years, you know, he actually gave a pretty good speech the other night. Novoselic, where is your support for Black Lives Matter? Where is your support or statement in support of the peaceful protest, which is of course a freedom expressed in the Constitution? It's something that Trump is trying to strip away. He's referred to these people as terrorists, and you're saying that he's doing a great job at trying to reduce violence? Novoselic did follow up with a Facebook post that reads, "To clarify a few things, as an avowed independent, I don't endorse a majority party or candidate. And it feels insane to have to say this, but I don't support fascism, and I don't support an authoritarian state. I believe in a civilized society, and that we all have to work towards that." Okay then why are you shouting in support of Trump basically saying that he's trying to turn the country into an authoritarian state? We literally have governors like in DC and other surrounding areas having to tell Trump to withdraw military troops. So your argument is making no sense here. Let's go ahead and jump over to Dolmayan from System of a Down, the statement that I found even more shocking because Krist Novoselic, he's not somebody that I really kept up with all that much. And again, at the end of the day, these are not bands that I'm encouraging anyone to stop listening to. Obviously, I'm not. Krist and John, they are not like songwriters within these bands, and even if they were, the messages, I mean, it's not taking away from the songs. I can't just go back and be like, oh no, In Utero is ruined now, I can never listen to Mesmerize again. Dolmayan posted on Instagram saying, "Let's not let the narrative that's being spun make us forget the truth of the statement. The most attacked president in history, yet the greatest friend to minorities. Don't believe it? Look at the stats. Don't like it? Doesn't change the truth of it." Of course, this was flashed up on screen along with the statement of Trump, a picture of him waving to his beloved America that he clearly cares about, not just himself. Of course, he loves America and America loves him, but he says, "My admin has done more for the black community than any other president since Abraham Lincoln." Have you heard of Lyndon B. Johnson? Even Barack Obama? I know there's things and policies that some people are going to be like, well, but, I mean, there's about a million well buts that should come right after Trump saying, "I've done more for minorities than any other president," including maybe even Abe Lincoln, the one that freed the slaves. It's laughable to think that a president who has done nothing other than sow division among the American people and has actively not tried to unite, but to tear us apart, is saying that he's done so much for minorities. I mean, you're actively throwing and casting doubt on mail-in voting, something that we're going to need because of the coronavirus. And that's something that's really going to affect minority areas. People who aren't always able to get to the polls, or else they rely on getting to the polls and they can't necessarily do the mail-in voting process, or maybe they don't even have a fixed address. You're basically casting doubt and saying, well, if I lose, then it's a rigged election, and maybe there's going to be uproar and chaos. And where is Trump going to speak out on that? He's going to encourage it. Mark my fucking words right now. If he loses the election, which I believe he will, not that I'm that excited by Joe Biden, but I will have to vote for the lesser of two evils. I hate that it's that way, but it is right now. Of course, if he loses, there will be riots, and Trump will encourage those riots, even if they turn violent. Hypocrisy, thy name is Trump, and John Dolmayan and Krist Novoselic are two people who are very blinded by whatever point of views they have. It's just extremely disappointing to me, considering they are from progressive-leaning bands. And of course, John Dolmayan has kind of responded and said that I disagree with their co-frontman Serge Tankian, who is extremely progressive, has called for Trump to step down. And it sucks that it's come to this, but maybe we're starting to get a little peek behind the curtain to see why System have not made new music. One other rock star that's coming under fire, although to a lesser degree, I don't think a ton of people know about it, is Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio, and of course his various side projects, and he's also in Blink-182 now at this point. A lot of people are calling him out for a since-deleted Instagram post where he posted a picture of himself in a police homicide shirt from Chicago. He's from there, of course. He was trying to support, I guess, at that time. He deleted it. And I think that there are kind of some contradicting statements, even in comments that he's replied to, but he's also helped raise a lot of money for not only the George Floyd Fund, but also various other bail bond projects, and he's been posting in recent times in support of Black Lives Matter, and people are really trying to drag him through the mud, saying, I'm never listening to Alkaline Trio again. And as always, I think these statements are so incredibly stupid to say that, oh, I will never listen to them again, my heart is broken. You have to stop putting so much emphasis on individual people within bands, because guess what? They are only going to make mistakes. They are only going to do things that you don't agree with, and they will break your heart and let you down if you let yourself get that invested in what their personal beliefs are. Do I agree with what Matt Skiba was saying in his past posts? I mean, no, not really. Even some of the comment replies that I saw all, but I encourage you to look into all of these situations for yourself. You're allowed to be a free thinker. You're allowed to say, hey, guess what? Fuck his statement, but I'm still gonna listen to System. I'm still gonna listen to Blink. I'm still going to listen to whatever band that has let me down. I find it a little bit ridiculous that I'm having to say that, but really in the past 3 to 4 years, I've been seeing that more and more and more. Like, I will never listen to this artist again. I can't support them. I can't go see them live. Whatever. I mean, you can give your money or not give your money to whatever you want to. But just to say that somebody is only as good as their last comment and that they can't be educated, that they can't change their ways, that's stupid too, and it's kind of harmful. Anyways, what do you think about the situation with Krist and Novoselic from Nirvana, from Skiba from Alkaline Trio and Blink, and of course John Dolmayan from System of a Down? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and if you enjoyed the discussion today, then consider sharing it out, drop a like on the video, all that good stuff. If you want to see some recent discussions that I had on this channel, then tap these links on screen here. Socials in the description. I'm trying to get back to posting on this channel, so I hope you enjoy the content, and I'll see you soon for more on Beyond ARTV.